Luke Burbank introduces us to the work of an influential yet underappreciated artist, now on display.
This is the story of an art world giant.
His work often feels familiar to the point of vanishing.
Who, despite being in museums and magazines and important collections, never quite became a household name.
As prominent as he is in the art world, perhaps his genuine magic is that disappearing act.
This is a Story is also the name of the retrospective of the work of Robert Therrien, currently on display at the Broad Museum in Los Angeles.
Is this a Department of Motor Vehicles? Is this a school?
Ed Shadd, the show's curator, chose the title because he says the work is part of an overall story, just not a simple one.
It has all of the details of a story, but we just can't quite put it together. That's where the mystery comes from. That's what makes it so fascinating and provocative.
Therrien, who came to the emerging LA art scene in the early 1970s, created a whole world of 1, 2, and 3-dimensional objects, many of them repeated and reimagined over his long career.
It feels like an oracle, a sphinx.
But he's probably best known for his large objects, tables and chairs, carefully increased in size to create a very specific experience for the viewer.
When you see this table behind me, folding table and chairs, one of the things that's difficult to capture in a photograph is this is made with the same materials as a standard folding table and chairs. And he spent a lot of time thinking about that. Where is the sweet spot where you feel like you're accessing a memory, you feel like you're accessing something about your own life, but it doesn't get out of hand. It doesn't feel like it's removed from you.
His work is recognizable, but somehow puzzling at the same time. Maybe like the man himself.
It was like hanging out with your favorite uncle or something like that. Very warm, little reserved, but really enjoyable.
He was very practical as a person, and it comes through that the work and how he is about sort of things that are practical.
Dean Ains and Paul Cherwick worked with Robert Therrien for years before his death in 2019 and now co-direct his estate.
We tell people that this is kind of the greatest sculpture of the building.
In the 90s, Therrien built a new studio in industrial Los Angeles that somehow felt decades old. Though live-work spaces weren't even legal, he was allowed a watchman's quarters, essentially a tiny apartment for the building's guard, which turned out to be Robert Therrien.
When you're living with your work, to me, this is a little bit of a palate cleanser. You know, you don't have anything on the walls.
I feel like this side is especially tippy over.
One of Therrien's most disorienting works is his stack of oversized dishes that feel like they might fall on you at any time as you walk around them.
He was interested in altered states, and this definitely alters your state.
That sense of vertigo was not an accident.
After he passed away, the estate found a note in his house. My favorite movie is Vertigo. From someone who tries to do these things in sculpture.
Okay, but what does it all mean? What is this the story of? Ed Shadd says Robert Therrien, he wasn't telling.
He didn't want to talk about his art. He didn't want to sit there and say, my sculpture is an illustration of this, my drawing is about this. He didn't want to do that. But what he did want to do is he wanted to talk about everything on Earth.
Everything on Earth and anything on Earth could fascinate and obsess Therrien. The more simple, mundane, or even overlooked, the better, which is something those who knew him hope doesn't happen for Therrien's work any longer.